Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum class. In last lecture we have discussed the tricarboxylic acid cycle or TCA, which is also called citric acid cycle. In today's lecture we will discuss gluconeogenesis. First is what's the gluconeogenesis? It's in fact the synthesis of glucose from non-carbohydrate compounds. It means that its origin may be from any non-carbohydrate compound, which may not be derived from monosaccharides, disaccharides, or the polysaccharides. Therefore, the major substrate or the precursors for the gluconeogenesis are lactate, pyruvate, which are from the, you can say, from glycolysis, glucogenic compounds, which may be amino acids, propionate, and glycerol, which is originated from the metabolism of fats. What's the location of the gluconeogenesis? Gluconeogenesis mainly occurs in the, you can say, the liver. And in the liver, its main origin is cytosol, although some of the precursors are produced in the mitochondria. What's the cytosol? Cytosol is the liquid or the watery part of the cytoplasm, which consists of many cell organelles like mitochondria, Golgi bodies are floating in the cytosol. Therefore, it is concluded that gluconeogenesis mostly takes place in liver. And in a study, it was concluded that about 1 kilogram of glucose is daily synthesized in the liver. It means that the liver is the big factory of the body, which is synthesizing of such a heavy amount of glucose. And gluconeogenesis occurs in kidney matrix to some extent, about 1/10 of liver capacity. It means that liver bears the main capacity to synthesize the glucose. The importance of gluconeogenesis lies in the fact that the glucose need is very important for the body functioning. Glucose occupies a key position in all type of metabolism because it continuously supply essential, you can say, the energy contents to the body for a variety of the functions like brain and central nervous system, which has to perform lot of functioning daily. And brain is, you also know, brain doesn't sleep. It also goes on working, heart goes on working, erythrocytes goes on working, kidney goes on working, even when you are when you go to sleep. Therefore, the brain and central nervous system, erythrocytes, kidney, medulla are all dependent on glucose for the continuous supply of energy. Human brain alone requires about 120 grams of glucose per day. And in fact, our entire body needs 160 gram of glucose. Out of 160 gram, brain alone needs 120 gram of energy to do its function. Glucose is the only source that supply energy to the skeletal muscles under anaerobic condition, where oxygen supply is cut down. During fasting, when we are not taking the glucose from the external sources, therefore the glucose is not to be going to be converted through the glycolysis into pyruvate. Therefore, it doesn't provide the energy. Therefore, in fasting, for even more than a day, gluconeogenesis is there. It performs its mechanism to give the basal requirement for the generation of the glucose. And to maintain the intermediates of the citric acid cycle, this is essential for the survival of human and other animals as well. Certain metabolites which are produced in the body as a result of certain other processes may accumulate in the blood, like lactate, cholesterol, propanoate, which is produced as a result of glycolysis. It may be accumulated in the, you can say, the blood. Therefore, gluconeogenesis effectively clears all these metabolites from the blood. Reactions of gluconeogenesis occurs in the in liver, and they closely resemble the glycolysis. It appears that gluconeogenesis is the reversed pathway of glycolysis, but in fact, it's not the totally reversal of glycolysis. How about, you can say, 3 steps out of 10 steps which are present in the glycolysis are irreversible. The 7 reactions are common for both glycolysis and gluconeogenesis, but 3 steps of the glycolysis is different over here. The 3 reversible steps of glycolysis, which are catalyzed by enzymes like hexokinase, phosphofructokinase, and pyruvate kinase, are not present over here. These 3 stages, then we will say they are bypassed in gluconeogenesis by the other alternative enzymes, which we will discuss in the metabolic pathway, how they are present, how they are bypassed the normal process of the glycolysis, where the precursor is glucose and it's converted into pyruvate under aerobic condition and lactate under anaerobic condition. But in the gluconeogenesis, the non-carbohydrate sources are converting the metabolites into glucose. The first step comprised of conversion of pyruvate to phosphoenol pyruvate. The conversion of pyruvate to phosphoenol pyruvate occurs in 2 steps. First step is catalyzed by enzyme which is called pyruvate carboxylase. It's in fact a biotin. What's the biotin? It's the vitamin B complex part, which is dependent on the mitochondrial enzyme that converts pyruvate to oxaloacetate in the presence of ADP and carbon dioxide. It means that the pyruvate is converted into oxaloacetate by utilizing the energy in the form of ADP, and you will say the it lost the 1 carbon in the form of carbon dioxide from the pyruvate. This enzyme is the regulatory enzyme because it regulates the gluconeogenesis and requires acetyl-CoA for its activity. Oxaloacetate is synthesized in the mitochondrial matrix, but it has to go outside of the mitochondria and perform its multiple functions. Yeah, it has to undergo from the multiple, you can say, steps to form again the pyruvate. Therefore, it is transported to the cytosol to be used by the gluconeogenesis. Therefore, the oxaloacetate, which is formed in the mitochondria, it transported outside of the mitochondria and into cytosol, where the rest of the pathways occurs. And due to the membrane impermeability, oxaloacetate cannot diffuse out of the mitochondria. Therefore, its diffusal outside the mitochondria is not feasible. Here is the description. Pyruvate, which is 3 carbon containing compound. It may comes out from the process of the glycolysis. It's present over there in the body. It is converted into oxaloacetate by incorporating 1 carbon, which is incorporating in the pyruvate from the carbon dioxide. Energy is utilized in the form of ATP to give ADP and inorganic phosphate. The enzyme which catalyzes this process is called pyruvate carboxylase, providing this carboxylic acid functionality to the pyruvate. Therefore, the 4 carbon containing moiety is formed, which is called oxaloacetate. The oxaloacetate is converted into phosphoenol pyruvate. How it happens? In fact, phosphoenol pyruvate carboxykinase is there. Carboxykinase means it break this bond, carbon-carbon bond. This functionality is giving off in the cell in the form of carbon dioxide. Again, energy is utilized in the form of the GTP. What is GTP? GTP is guanosine triphosphate to convert into GDP. And from here, one inorganic phosphate group becomes the part of oxaloacetate, because due to the removal of this carbon functionality in the form of carbon dioxide, 1 carbon is lacking over here. Therefore, when this bond will be break, the bond will be moved like this. And next, this carbon oxygen bond will be break down, and the single bond carbon oxygen and double bond causes the formation of enol, double bond and CO bond. Therefore, the phosphorus inorganic phosphate group become the part of this 3 carbon containing moiety to generate the phosphoenol pyruvate. The pyruvate, which was present in the cytosol, it comes inside the mitochondria. In mitochondrion, pyruvate carboxylase acts. It converted into oxaloacetate, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. These numbers represents that these are the other precursors which comes out from the other pathways, and in this way they become the part of gluconeogenesis. What's occur over here? By the series of reaction, malate is converted, and this malate is now permissible, membrane permit malate to comes outside, and in fact this malate can interconvert this oxaloacetate and malate can convert into one another by utilizing NAD or by releasing NAD. But enzyme acts here is malate dehydrogenase. It means from malate there is removal of hydrogen to give back oxaloacetate. But the malate which is formed over here in the mitochondria from the series of reaction, but the precursor molecules here was pyruvate. Now malate comes outside of mitochondrial membrane. It passes the mitochondrial membrane and comes out in the cytosol. This whole part is the cytosol. Remember that this malate is converted into oxaloacetate by another enzyme which is present in the cytosol. It shares the same name, which is also malate dehydrogenase. but it's present in the cytosol. It means that these reactions are catalyzed by the malate dehydrogenase enzyme, but one is located inside the mitochondria like this, and other is present outside the mitochondria in the cytosol. In the cytosol, what's happening over here? The malate which come outside is converted into oxaloacetate, and oxaloacetate is making preparation to convert into phosphoenol pyruvate, because unless or until oxaloacetate is not converted into phosphoenol pyruvate, the reversal of glycolysis can't be started over here. It means that reversal of glycolysis means that the gluconeogenesis or the synthesis of the glucose to provide energy can't proceed over here. Therefore, the oxaloacetate is converted into phosphoenol pyruvate by the enzyme which is known as phosphoenol pyruvate carboxykinase. By utilizing the energy in the form of GTP, again, there is removal of one carbon in the form of carbon dioxide. It means that the phosphoenol pyruvate is one carbon less compound than the oxaloacetate. And this whole liberation of carbon dioxide from the oxaloacetate to generate the phosphoenol pyruvate, it's fixed by the enzyme which is carboxylase. The role of phosphoenol pyruvate enzyme is very important over here. This enzyme is not catalyzed by the ADP, but in fact GTP is utilized over here. And for the conversion of pyruvate to phosphoenol pyruvate, this step is different. Instead of, you can say, the glycolysis, for the conversion of pyruvate, which was started over here, go from the circulation part, mitochondria, cytosol, you will see in the next slide. Then the 2 ATP is required over here, which is contrast to the 1 ATP, which is liberated in the glycolysis for the same reversal of the reaction. In fact, there should be 2 ADP, here should be 2 ADPs, but 1 ADP is liberated in the glycolysis, but the complete reversal is not here. There is only 2 equivalent ATPs are present in the gluconeogenesis. Here you can see the complete picture, how we have started from the pyruvate. The blue color represent these are substrate, pyruvate is substrate, lactate is substrate, and you will see many other substrate in the next slides. Pyranate is the substrate, and here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the numbers which are depicted over here, they represents the many amino acids. Thus, the pyruvate which was present in the cytosol goes in the mitochondria. Mitochondrial membrane is permissible for the pyruvate from the series of the reaction. And the important enzyme here was the malate dehydrogenase, MDH. Therefore, oxaloacetate is converted into malate. It comes outside the mitochondrial membrane and again become the part of cytosol. Now the malate has to go back into oxaloacetate, because unless or until oxaloacetate is not formed, it will not be converted into phosphoenol pyruvate, or it will not give the energy, because when there is presence of phosphoenol pyruvate, there is formation of energy in the form of glucose. It's the whole picture. The most important enzyme is the MDH, and this carboxykinase, which utilizes NAD and GTP and the liberation of carbon in the form of carbon dioxide. From the phosphoenol pyruvate, when the precursor was pyruvate, the reversal of glycolysis started from here. It means that the backslide from here, phosphoenol pyruvate, there is connection here. It is connected to phosphoglycerate. This 2-phosphoglycerate goes into 3-phosphoglycerate, 3-phosphoglycerate incorporating another inorganic phosphate group to give 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate. It is converted into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, just like in glycolysis. There was happening in this direction, the forward direction, but in the gluconeogenesis, the reaction occurs in the backward direction from the bottom to the above side of the picture. The glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and the dihydroxyacetone phosphate, which we will discuss later, that it comes out from the glycerol. These two are interconverted in one another, but finally they have to give fructose 1,6-bisphosphate. It means that the conversion of fructose 1,6-bisphosphate to fructose 6-phosphate from the series of the reaction is the main target over here. The enzyme fructose 1,6-bisphosphatase is there to convert fructose 1,6-bisphosphate into simple 1-phosphate containing glucose, which is fructose 6-phosphate. Therefore, inorganic phosphate group comes out. And here, this enzyme requires magnesium ion for its activity. But if we see from the right hand side, these are the reactions of forward reactions of glycolysis. But we have to go in this fashion to generate fructose 6-phosphate. And in glycolysis, we see that the fructose 6-phosphate converted into fructose 1,6-phosphate by utilizing ATP, inorganic phosphate group was incorporating by enzyme phosphofructokinase. But here this enzyme is lacking. It's not present over there. Instead, phosphofructokinase, fructose 1,6-bisphosphatase is present in the liver to generate the glucose for the gluconeogenesis. And this fructose 1,6-bisphosphatase is absent in smooth muscles and heart muscles. And therefore, this enzyme is also regulatory enzyme because it regulates the pathway, the mechanism of the gluconeogenesis. Then finally, the conversion of glucose 6-phosphate to glucose is taking place by glucose 6-phosphatase. Again, the enzyme is phosphatase, but this enzyme is, the name is derived from the substrate. For this, the substrate is glucose 6-phosphate. For fructose 1,6-bisphosphate, the substrate was fructose 1,6-bisphosphate. Therefore, while starting from the pyruvate, we reached to the glucose. Here, again, the enzyme is different from the hexokinase or the glucokinase, which is present in the glycolysis. And this line is shown by the solid arrows, representing they are going towards the forward reactions of the glycolysis. Therefore, this enzyme, which is glucose 6-phosphatase, cause the conversion, and it is mostly present in liver and kidneys. Therefore, the liver and kidney is responsible for the formation of the glucose from the non-carbohydrate source, which may be lactate, which may be pyruvate, which may be cholesterol, and certain amino acids as well. And this is absent in the muscle, brain, and adipose tissues. Which enzyme? Which is glucose 6 phosphatase, which is responsible for the removal of inorganic phosphate from glucose 6 phosphate and fructose 1,6 bisphosphate substrate. Here is the complete picture. While starting from 2-phosphoglycerate, how stepwise we go towards the formation of glucose. These all step on the left hand side shows the reaction of gluconeogenesis, where these steps on the right hand side, they show the reactions of the glycolysis, the presence of enzymes which is responsible for their conversions. Here is the complete pathway. The pathway was starting from the pyruvate. Pyruvate was the substrate. It goes in the mitochondria, convert into malate. Malate comes outside, convert into oxaloacetate. Oxaloacetate was converted into phosphoenol pyruvate, and this phosphoenol pyruvate is connected over here and goes to the formation of 1,3 bisphosphoglycerate, glyceraldehyde 3 phosphate, and then the fructose 1,6 bisphosphate, and finally by removing one phosphorus, second phosphorus, to give the glucose. It means that here we see that how the pyruvate, which is non-carbohydrate source, give the glucose when body needs glucose. In fasting, body needs lot of glucose for the functioning of brain and muscles, for kidneys functions, central nervous system functioning. There is a lot of need for the glucose. Here we see that the glucose is generated. Seventh step was the reversal of glycolysis to give the energy. Here I have shown the pathway of the glycolysis. Glycolysis was started from the glucose, then give glucose 6 phosphate, fructose 6 phosphate. These solid lines 1, 2, and third one shows that these reaction can't be reversed. This reaction can be reversed. Here, this conversion can be reversed between these two molecules, here between these two molecules. But these three reactions, which was conversion of glucose into glucose 6 phosphate, conversion of fructose 6 phosphate by the kinase enzyme into fructose 1,6 bisphosphate, and finally the third step, the conversion of phosphoenol pyruvate into pyruvate. These are shown by the solid line. Important, they are the reaction and they are not the reversible ones. Rest are the reaction are reversible ones. Thus, after formation of fructose 1,6 phosphate, it is converted to two molecules, each of which was 3 carbon containing dihydroxyacetone phosphate and glyceraldehyde 3 phosphate. Ultimately, this molecule has to be converted into glyceraldehyde 3 phosphate to generate 1,3 bisphosphoglycerate by accommodating inorganic phosphate group. Here, the reaction, first reaction and second reaction, goes towards the removal of the phosphate group. Therefore, energy is generated in the form of ATP. Inorganic phosphate group is picking up by the ADP. Therefore, from 3-phosphoglycerate, there is formation of 2-phosphoglycerate, then phosphoenol pyruvate. Magnesium is very important over here. It's the cation It's the cofactor which is important for the functioning of enzyme. Cofactors are non-protein parts which are important for the functioning of the enzymes. These cofactors can be the prosthetic group in the certain cases where they are bound through the covalent bonding. And finally, pyruvate through the spontaneous step is converted into from the pyruvate enol form double bond, and the alcoholic alcoholic functionality converted into ketophin functionality. Thus, the pyruvate enol form is converted into pyruvate keto form. And finally, if the reactions are anaerobic condition bearing, then the pyruvate is converted into L-lactate by lactate dehydrogenase enzyme. Therefore, pyruvate is produced in the aerobic condition, in the presence of aerobic condition where there is surplus amount of oxygen, whereas L-lactate is produced in the absence of oxygen. Here is the overall summary of gluconeogenesis, that while starting from the pyruvate, come over to the glucose. What happens over here? In the start, there are two pyruvate molecules utilizing 4 ADPs, 2 GDP. GDP stands for guanosine triphosphate, NADH, 2 hydrogen, 6 water molecules to give glucose, NAD plus, ADP, GDP, 6 inorganic phosphate group and 6 hydrogen. These are the overall conversion reaction for the gluconeogenesis. Here is shown that it's possible that the gluconeogenesis can proceed through the amino acids. It means that here the precursors or the substrates are amino acids. These blue colors 1, 2, 3 and so on up to 5 represents the amino acids. It means that at position 1, some amino acids came, they give the pyruvate. It means that in uh, in other sense, they are also constituting, they are also putting their share for the production of glucose because they give the pyruvate. What are these amino acids? These are alanine, glycine, serine, cysteine, threonine, and tryptophan. At position second, at the oxaloacetate level, two important amino acids are present over here. It means that in some pathways, in some metabolic process, these two amino acids give the oxaloacetate. At the end or in the intermediate stage, these enzyme gives the pyruvate. For alpha ketoglutarate, arginine, glutamate, histidine are responsible to give the alpha ketoglutarate. Whereas for succinyl-CoA, the amino acids, which are also called glucogenic amino acids, they may be valine, isoleucine, and lastly at the fumarate level, which amino acids give fumarate? It's the phenylalanine and tyrosine. It means that these are the 5 important groups of the amino acids which also take part in the gluconeogenesis to generate the glucose from the non-carbohydrate source. Third one is how gluconeogenesis can be established from the glycerol. Then here, glycerol serves as the substrate or as the precursor for generation of glucose. How glucose is generated? We will see that glycerol is liberated in the adipose tissues. It comes out from the hydrolysis of fats, many fats, fatty acids, which are in fact the triacylglycerol. On hydrolysis, they give the glycerol. What's the glycerol? Glycerol is in fact the alcohol. It's the triol. It consists of three OHs. And the enzyme which is important over here is the glycerokinase, which is present in the liver, kidney, but it's absent in the adipose tissues. Therefore, what it will do, it will activate the glycerol to the glycerol 3-phosphate. It means that this glycerokinase enzyme is responsible for incorporating a phosphate group to the glycerol molecule. This glycerol 3-phosphate is then converted into dihydroxyacetone phosphate. And the multiple steps we have seen that the dihydroxyacetone is made the part of the gluconeogenesis, and by the glycerol 3-phosphate dehydrogenase enzyme, this function is carried out. And this dihydroxyacetone phosphate serves as intermediate in the glycolysis. You have seen in the last slides that how the dihydroxyacetone is interconvertible with other the 3 carbon containing molecule. And finally, it is conveniently used for the glucose production. How it happens? While starting from the glycerol, which is the alcohol, by the functioning of glycerol kinase, phosphate group is incorporated in the glycerol by utilizing the energy in the form of ATP, and this glycerol 3-phosphate is converted into glycerol 3-phosphate. In the presence of glycerol 3-phosphate dehydrogenase is converted into dihydroxyacetone phosphate, and this dihydroxyacetone phosphate again is converted into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. It means that yes, glycerol, which is the non-carbohydrate source, also made its part for the production of glucose. Therefore, we will say that the glycerol is also a non-carbohydrate source, and it can also cause the production of glucose through the process which is called gluconeogenesis. Now the gluconeogenesis from the lactate. It means that the lactate, what's the lactate? Lactate is produced in the presence of, in the absence of oxygen. When there is no oxygen, then the pyruvate is converted into lactate. Then the lactate is produced by the active skeletal muscles, and it's also serve as the major precursor or the substrate for the gluconeogenesis, and it's always produced under the anaerobic conditions in the muscles. And the pyruvate has to be reduced into lactate. How it is reduced? It is reduced by the LDH. LDH stands for lactate dehydrogenase enzyme. How pyruvate is converted into lactate? By by NADH. NH, it means that from here there is causing the reduction of pyruvate. The hydrogen is making the part of pyruvate to give the lactate. It means that the lactate can also made the part of gluconeogenesis. It has also give the glucose formation, and the process is Kore cycle. Lactate is in fact the dead end in the glycolysis. It means that when lactate is formed in the glycolysis, it's the dead end. Nothing can be happened over there. But it must be recovered to the pyruvate. Unless or until it is not recovered to the pyruvate, further metabolism cannot be carried out. Therefore, what's the purpose of the lactate production is to, in fact, regenerate the NADH. And therefore, the glycolysis proceeds uninterrupted in the skeletal muscles. Therefore, lactate or the pyruvate, which are produced in the muscles, cannot be utilized for the synthesis of glucose due to the absence of key enzyme. The key enzyme which are responsible to cause the metabolism of gluconeogenesis, it's not present in the muscles. What are the enzymes? These are enzymes are glucose 6-phosphatase and the fructose 1,6 bisphosphatase, which you have seen. They are responsible for the removal of inorganic phosphate group from the substrate. The plasma membrane is freely permeable to the lactate. Therefore, lactate can also comes outside. Lactate is carried out from the skeletal muscle through the bloodstream, and it must be handed over to the liver, because unless or until it's not come to the liver, it can't be further oxidized to pyruvate. It can't be uh, further make the part of the gluconeogenesis to produce the glucose, because lactate was produced as a result of reduction of the pyruvate. Therefore, when lactate has to go into the pyruvate, it must liberate its hydrogens, and therefore it must be converted into glucose by the series of the reactions, which are mostly reversible reactions of glycolysis to give the glucose. Then it is transported to the skeletal muscles. How this cycle occurs, you can see from here. The skeletal muscle lactate is going to be converted into glucose. For example, these are your muscles, and in these muscles, what is going to be produced is the lactate. From where the lactate comes from the series of the reaction which causes the conversion of glucose into glucose 6-phosphate, then bisphosphate, and so on, to reach over to the pyruvate, and then the pyruvate was converted into lactate. This lactate was present in the muscle, but from the muscle it goes into the bloodstream. When it becomes the part of bloodstream, yes, it is accessible to go into the liver, because whenever it will not go into the bloodstream, it can't reach the liver. Then it is absorbed, it goes into the liver, and in the liver, lactate is converted into pyruvate. When pyruvate is produced from the series of reaction, the second last reaction is written over here, substrate, glucose 6-phosphate, and finally the glucose. It means while moving from the glucose during glycolysis, glucose was present there. It comes from the bloodstream into muscle. It was changed into lactate under anaerobic conditions, but it has to be changed into pyruvate. When it is converted into pyruvate, then it can provide energy in the form of glucose. Then glucose is again absorbed into the blood, and again the cycle is started. It means that the glucose is present in the cyclic way. In some step it's converted into pyruvate, in another way it is converted into lactate, but from the after going through a series of the reaction, it must has to be go into the glucose. Therefore, this cycle in which the lactate is the substrate, This is called Kore cycle. Second substrate which is present is the alanine. From here we can see the alanine. At the back slide, we will go at the back slide. There are two cycles going on. While starting from the lactate, it's the Kore cycle, and the second one is alanine, which is shown in the purple color. How alanine is generated? It's generated from the pyruvate. When pyruvate is converted into alanine, this is the transamination process. What's the transamination process? In which the amino group is transferred between the keto acid and the amino acid. It means that the pyruvate is keto acid. It gives, you will see that the amino group is transferred between these two, and the alanine is generated, and alanine is the amino acid. Now amino acid can also made the part of the gluconeogenesis to generate the glucose. The alanine goes into the liver, and again alanine converts into pyruvate by the process which is called transamination. Therefore, we will see from the back slide that the glucose alanine cycle can also occurs. It can also generate energy in the form of glucose. Therefore, it is a continuous transport of amino acid from the muscles to live. It predominantly occurs during starvation. Alanine dominates among the transported amino acids. It means that there are many amino acids, but alanine is the dominant one. It's the most active one, which is transported to the liver for the production of glucose. And mainly in the process, in the body process or in the body condition, when it's on the starvation mode, when you are not taking the glucose from the outside, when you are not taking the glucose in the food. Therefore, it is postulated that the pyruvate in the skeletal muscle undergoes transamination to produce alanine, because we have to give the clue from where the alanine comes. Therefore, the alanine comes from the pyruvate through the transamination process. Alanine was transported to the liver for the gluconeogenesis, and therefore this whole cycle was caused glucose alanine cycle, keeping in view the amino acid alanine. Here is simple representation that why the liver is important. Liver is most important organ of the body. It causes multiple functions. It produces multiple uh, chemicals to cause the digestion. And here you can see that in the liver there occurs gluconeogenesis. There is occurrence of the glycogenolysis. There is occurrence of gluconeogenesis, and there is occurrence of glycolysis. While starting from the glucose, if we will go towards the formation of glycogen, the process is called gluconeogenesis. From the glycogen to the glucose, the glycogenolysis. And from the glucose into the acetyl CoA, again the process is glycolysis. From the acetyl CoA towards the glucose, the reaction will be, mechanism will be the gluconeogenesis. In fact, the gluconeogenesis is the very important process. I have told you earlier, it's important for the functioning of the brain. Brain needs lot of glucose, and when you are on the starvation mode or when you are not taking much glucose in the food, therefore glucose must be needed for the functioning of the brain. And there must be the regulation of this metabolic process. Therefore, an important enzyme is present there to cause the regulation. It's present in the form of the hormone, which is called glucagon, and the availability of substrate is also an important uh, step. Yeah, important, you can say, the function of the gluconeogenesis regulation. What's the influence of this hormone? This hormone is in fact a peptide hormone, and it's produced by the alpha cell of the pancreas. Here is, in the next slide, the diagram of the alpha cell of the pancreas, which causing the production of the hormone which is responsible for the regulation of gluconeogenesis. Therefore, when pancreas secrete these peptide hormones, it in fact works to raise the concentration of glucose and fatty acids in the bloodstreams. And by two mechanisms, it regulates. Active form of pyruvate kinase is converted to inactive form, and it reduces the concentration of fructose 2,6 bisphosphate. Here is the slide which shows the functioning of pancreas, liver, and simultaneously the function of insulin, which is hormone, glucagon, which is hormone, and presence of glucose, storage of glucose, release of glucose. All these are important regulations which is occurring in between the bloodstream, between the liver and the pancreas. How the blood glucose level is raised, how glucose is released, how glucose is stored, how how insulin cause the lower blood glucose levels, how in muscles there is storage of the fats, and again the stimulation of insulin secretion, stimulation of glucagon, how they are proceeded through the pancreas, liver, and muscles. It means that the pancreas is very important. No doubt, every organ is important, but here the functioning of pancreas with respect to the insulin and with respect to the glucagon hormone, these are important. And liver is no doubt very important for the glucose, you can say, the production. Here are certain factors which inhibit the occurrence of the gluconeogenesis. And one important molecule or the chemical is alcohol, and particularly ethanol. The people which are very used to take the ethanol, in fact, ethanol oxidation occurs in the liver. Therefore, ethanol is converted into acetaldehyde, and this acetaldehyde, in fact, uh, along with the acetaldehyde formation, there is formation of reduced form of NAD. And this reduced form of NAD is very dangerous one, because excessive NADH thus produced into the liver due to the conversion of ethanol into acetaldehyde acetaldehyde, you can see from here, this NADH in the first step doesn't stop over here. It utilizes two important molecules, or the, you can say, compounds of the gluconeogenesis pathway, the gluconeogenesis pathway, which is going in its normal procedure, normal way, and it consists of pyruvate and oxaloacetate. But this NADH, which is produced as the result of ethanol conversion to acetaldehyde, it causes the production of lactate from the pyruvate and malate from the oxaloacetate. In fact, it doesn't happen over here at this stage. Because why it doesn't happen? Because it cut down the next steps of the gluconeogenesis. Therefore, the pyruvate and oxaloacetate, which are the very important substrate for the gluconeogenesis, they are made unavailable in the presence of alcohol, ethanol. It means that if your body uh, is having a alcohol, ethanol, there is toxification, intoxicated. Therefore, the normal process of gluconeogenesis will not occur, because overconsumption of NAD results in the excessive production of reduced form of NADH due to the presence of alcohol. Therefore, taking alcohol is very dangerous one, because it disrupts the normal metabolic process of gluconeogenesis. In fact, alcohol consumption increases the risk of hypoglycemia. Hypoglycemia means there is reduced concentration or availability of the glucose, and due to the non-availability of oxaloacetate and pyruvate, the normal stages or the normal pathway of gluconeogenesis stops. Therefore, hypoglycemia occurs, and hypoglycemia is very, dangerous for the diabetic patient. The person with the diabetes must have regulate level of the glucose. Excessive glucose, and no doubt hypoglycemia or the less uh, glucose concentration is very dangerous for the patient which is particularly dependent on the insulin. Therefore, the person who are very used to take ethanol, they have the less supply of glucose which is available for the normal brain functioning, heart functioning, and the nervous system functioning is available. And other patients, which are patients, or in fact the persons which are the undernourished, it means that they don't take the much glucose, much carbohydrates, energy in the form of the food. They are undernourished, they don't have the supply of the glucose in the bloodstream, and if they consume the alcohol, it means that they further increase the risk of hypoglycemia. Then there is an important question that we have seen in the back slides, that the lactate or the cholesterol or the pyruvate, they can provide the energy in through the gluconeogenesis in the form of the glucose. Then the question rises, is there any capability in the fats to generate energy to give the glucose? Then in a sense, the statement is correct one, that the glucose can't be synthesized from the fat, but it's subject, it depends on the number of the carbon chains which is present in the fatty acids. When fatty acids are oxidized, they are in fact converted into acetyl CoA, which cannot be converted to the pyruvate. But the two carbons of the acetyl CoA, you have seen in the last lecture, they disappear completely in the form of the carbon dioxide through the TCA cycle. Therefore, the statement is totally correct one that the even chain fatty acids can't give the glucose, can't behave as a precursors or the substrate for the glucose formation, because for the conversion of fats to the glucose, there is absence of the glycoxylate cycle in these animals. Further, the cholesterol which is released by the lipolysis. Lipolysis means there is lysis or the breakdown of the fatty acids. How the breakdown of fatty acids occurs? It occurs through the hydrolysis. When there is hydrolysis, then the propanoate and is obtained, and further, if fatty acids are going to be oxidized, which bears the odd carbon numbers, yes, they can behave as a substrate for the gluconeogenesis. It means that we can conclude over here that the even chain fatty acids can't behave as a substrate, and they can't give energy through the gluconeogenesis, but the odd chain fatty acids can do this purpose, can do this task. Further, there is some questions which you have to do at the end. They words the important, you can say, the objectives of the gluconeogenesis, and you have to sort out the reversible and irreversible steps of gluconeogenesis. And here is the cycle which is provided. You have to give the description of the each independent step, what's their importance of significance of each step in the gluconeogenesis. So I hope students you have understand this lecture, and if you have any question, then you can approach me. Best wishes.